231 million years ago, before the first dinosaur stepped foot in North America, Carnufex carolinensis prowled the land. A fearsome predator, its name means Carolina butcher. In the words of one of the paleontologists who studied it, Lindsay Zano, the emotion upon seeing it would have been abject terror. While it looked vaguely like a dinosaur, Carnufex was instead one of the largest Triassic members of Crocodylomorpha, the group of reptiles that contains Crocodilians. Found in 2015 in the Pekin Formation in North Carolina, Carnufex lived in the late Carnian Stage of the Triassic, same time as the earliest known dinosaurs. Thus far, only 2 specimens are known: the holotype, which consists of part of a skull, a humerus, and a few ribs and vertebrate fragments, and a second specimen that consists of only part of a humerus smaller than that of the holotype. While incomplete, what is known about Carnufex has provided exciting insights into both this impressive predator and the early evolution of Crocodylomorpha. Based on the size of its humerus relative to its head, and the locomotion of its closest relatives, Carnufex is thought to have been bipedal. Estimates of its body size suggest the holotype was 3 meters long. As the neural arches in the holotype specimen were unfused, this suggests it was a juvenile, and that adults are capable of growing even larger. As Carnufex's skull is known from fragments, it is still unclear exactly what it looked like. The original paper that described it in 2015 suggested an elongated, almost triangular shape, while a 2018 paper suggested a more robust, rounded shape, closer to its more primitive relatives like the rauisuchids. Most of the cranial bones were ornamented, which would have enhanced its appearance in life. Its teeth were recurved and serrated, like those of many other carnivorous crocodile relatives and theropod dinosaurs. While it's certainly an impressive predator on its own, many aspects of Carnufex's anatomy have profound implications for crocodilian evolution. Just as crocodilians are part of the larger group Crocodylomorpha, Crocodylomorpha is part of the larger group of reptiles called psudesuchians. While widely diverse, the closest relatives of Crocodylomorpha, such as their sister group rauisuchidae, along with more distant relations such as Prehistoric and Saurosuchus, were all large, terrestrial predators, some of which were at least facultatively bipedal. However, most Triassic Crocodylomorphs, while bipedal, were rather small. The only exceptions to this are Redondae venator, known from even more fragmentary remains in Carnufex, and an unnamed species. Examination of its anatomy revealed that it, Redondae venator, and the unnamed species were the most primitive members of Crocodylomorpha, with a small Hesperosuchus and Dromaeosuchus being the most basal after them. Previously, it was assumed that Crocodylomorphs had reduced their size first and then gained the identifying features that unite the group. Carnufex shows that the earliest Crocodylomorphs were still very much like the rauisuchids in appearance and ecology when they first evolved, only diverging later in their evolution. However, Carnufex was not the direct ancestor of these later, more derived Crocodylomorphs, as it possessed unique features, such as how the rear edge of its anaerobial fenestra was vertical rather than slanted, that showed it had already split from the lineage that would give rise to the more advanced Crocodylomorphs. Even more importantly, more derived species, including one that coexisted with Carnufex, had already evolved by the late Carnian. While much larger than most of the other later Triassic Crocodylomorphs, and much larger than any other terrestrial predator from the Pekin Formation, the size of the Carnufex holotype was smaller than apex predators in most other late Triassic ecosystems. As of right now, the only other large predator known from the Pekin Formation was the semi-aquatic Crocodilian carolinensis. While able to grow as large as 8 meters long, as a semi-aquatic predator, competition with Carnufex would have been limited. It is clear that there was prey in the Pekin Formation well above the capabilities of the Carnufex holotype, including the 3-meter-long, armored, and heavily built Adasaur, Longosuchus. This implies one of 4 possibilities: that Carnufex grew much larger than the holotype, that Rudiodon hunted a larger portion of larger vertebrates than was usual in a Triassic ecosystem, that Carnufex was not the apex predator of the Pekin Formation, or, perhaps most questionably, that Carnufex hunted in packs to take down larger prey. Until the discovery of fossils of an adult Carnufex, or fossils of a larger carnivore of the Pekin Formation, this matter will likely remain unresolved. Assuming it didn't grow much larger than the holotype, Carnufex would have filled an ecological role similar to that of the larger Triassic theropods, such as Herrerasaurus. Potential prey would have included smaller species of Adasaur, Cynodonts, and potentially Diincodonts such as Plesiosaurus. Whether or not it was an apex predator, the Carolina butcher was certainly a terror for the contemporary fauna. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. If you still want to learn more about Triassic Crocodylomorphs, be sure to check out my video on the slightly more derived, smaller Hesperosuchus. Have a great day, and, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button.